Hey guys, welcome back. It is Friday. That means it's the end of another week and I'm bringing you another studio vlog. Just a quick one. I didn't film anything on Wednesday, so if you're wondering why there's only 2 days this week, it's not because I was only working 2 days, but it's because we had so much going on Wednesday that I didn't actually get the opportunity to set the camera up and film anything. So with that in mind, guys, this is going to be a bit of a shorter one. Today is super hard because I just felt like I've got no motivation. It's just one of those days. However, we're going to just push through it and we're just going to get the work done. And today I thought we'd talk a little bit more about some branding mindset and some things that have sort of cropped up in the last couple of days that I really think could help a lot of people. But without further ado, guys, let me just show you what it's like to work at Katnipp. Guys, it has been such a busy week at Katnipp. You have no idea how busy it has been this week. We've literally had like 400 orders. So if you've supported Katnipp in the past or you've bought something from Katnipp recently and you're watching these videos, I cannot thank you enough. And if you're new to the series, you'll pick up very quickly what this series is about, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this video. Now, I do want to say that unfortunately, trying to fit everything in and talk about branding is a huge mammoth of a task, so there's going to be some things that I can't fit into this video, and I want to remind you as you listen to this video that branding is not a one-size-fits-all sort of deal. It's not one bit of advice is going to fit for everybody. So I'm not going to be giving out any sort of branding advice in this video, and I'm going to try and not talk about Katnipp's branding too much. All I'm going to talk about in this video is some aspects of branding that I think are that need a bit of focus, and some things that I already knew that when I came into Katnipp, and some things that I've built upon as I've worked here. And I'm going to tell you probably one of the most important aspects of branding and products and content creation towards the end of the video, and I'm going to talk about it in great depth. But first, I kind of wanted to brush over a couple of other things to do with branding that I think are super important. So before I do, I want to remind everybody that branding is not your style of art on its own. When we talk about branding, it's talking about the entirety of your product, and that comes down to all of the tiny details. And what I mean by that is, if I ask you to picture a lion in your head, you guys are going to know exactly what a lion looks like, because a lion is, his sharp teeth, his mane, his the color of his fur and his mane, the way that he acts, the fact that he's a hunter, where he lives. If I asked you to name one thing, I can guarantee that everybody would repeat the same things, and that's because a lion knows exactly who he is. He's not the prey, he is the hunter, and he's the top of his food chain, and he knows exactly where he stands, and he knows exactly what his purpose is. And that's kind of one of the biggest things that I want you guys to reflect upon as we talk about the next few things to do with branding. So, as I said, branding is every little detail that makes up the greater whole. And this is especially true when we talk about sort of brand identity and brand recognition, because when you guys think of Katnipp, you guys are going to know certain things that pop into your head, because that's what has come to pass in terms of what Catherine thought was part of her, an extension of her personality. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but knowing how your brand identifies is super important. Now, this is more than just the style of your artwork, as I said. This comes down to the mannerisms in which you interact with people, and the mannerisms in which you present yourself on camera. For example, if you're a content creator, you know, the way that you identify yourself with an audience is through relational, different forms of value, whether that's relational value or educational value or entertaining value, or whatever that value is that people get from consuming or opening up your products. That is what forms your identity, but you have to utilize a lot of little tricks to build up that identity. So everybody knows what sort of identity that Catherine has. A lot of people say that she's got a bubbly personality, she's a very happy person, and then her artwork is an extension of who she is. Her artwork is set to, you know, inspire the same feelings out of the people that are opening her goodies or consuming her art. And that's why I love working at Katnipp so much, because she never started by copying somebody else's style and making money, because it's never been about the money for Katnipp. For Katnipp, it's always been about putting smiles on people's face, and the way that she produces her art is by worrying about what the consumer is experiencing and thinking. And again, that's talking about the experience that I'm going to get into in a bit. But Catherine has always only ever cared about the end product, and she always turns to Dean and me and other people and says, what do you guys think of this? And if we smile because we like the work or we get a laugh out of it, then she knows that it's good. But she also knows herself. I'm not saying she uses other people. I'm just saying that's how she gauges reactions from people, is she'll show people in her immediate sort of vicinity first. But if she doesn't like something and she's unsure about it, then she'll talk to people and ask them, you know, what do you feel about this? And she'll gauge the reactions. So it's always about the end experience for Catherine, and that's what you should be aiming for as well. Whether you're an artist on Etsy or you're a content creator, what you should be worrying about is is how people are perceiving your products, and adjusting the way that you are marketing them so that they are, you know, achieving the desired effect. Now, talking about trends, especially in the art community, is not something that I have too much particular experience on. So I cannot sit here and tell you guys what is right and wrong in the art community, because that just wouldn't be right. But one thing that I have witnessed is a form of people being inspired by what's already been done. And I wanted to talk about this not because I want to change people's minds. I just want to give you guys an idea about the longevity of that kind of business model. So if you're sat there and you're worrying about adapting somebody else's style because they've come out and said that they're making, you know, 10 grand a month on Etsy or Patreon, and you want to copy what they've done, then yeah, you are going to have a certain level of success, but it's going to be short-lived, and it's going to be a very short-form business model, and it's going to end in one of two ways. First of all, is you're probably going to end up in some sort of trouble, whether that's legal trouble or just receiving some sort of cease and desist from the artists that you're trying to sort of copy or be inspired from. Because there's a difference between being inspired from and copying, and it's a very fine line, and you, especially the artists that are going to watch this video, are probably going to know way more about that than me. And I wanted to bring this up because this isn't exclusive to the art community. This happens in absolutely everything, especially in the streaming space and the YouTube space. For example, it came out that Ninja over on Twitch.tv was earning $500,000 a month. All of a sudden, Twitch had a traffic increase of about 20% of people thinking that they were going to jump into playing Fortnite and start making thousands every day or hundreds every day, or making a full-time living. And in fact, that was the biggest opposite. That pretty much I can guarantee every single person that came to the platform in that boom probably isn't around anymore, because it's the most surefire way to burn yourself out, because you're not being authentic. And that's kind of what I want to inspire in this speech. Is I want you to think about what's authentically you. Like, don't think about, okay, what can I do to play into that? Think about what it is that you as an individual want to make that's going to make you happy and make you love it the most. Because if you love what you're making, then other people are going to love what you're making. You just need to figure out the way to market it to the right person, because Etsy isn't going to be the platform for everybody. YouTube isn't going to be the platform for everybody. You know, you might start up a YouTube channel thinking that YouTube is the place where you're meant to be, but you might be really insecure on camera, and you might just think that you're better at just projecting yourself vocally. Therefore, a podcast is going to be better for you, and that's going to be your best way of marketing yourself, because that's where you're going to be most comfortable, and that's where you're going to love being the most and project yourself in the best way possible. So just something to consider about, you know, authenticity, especially in branding. You know, don't just copy what's been done. Of course, you can be inspired by it. You know, 9 out of 10 artists putting thank you cards in their order, so that's obviously something which I should look at. But don't just make your own thank you card and throw it in there. Try and utilize that creativity and think to yourself, how can I make a thank you card or an experience that outperforms all of my peers or my competitors? I don't really like the word competitor, and I know that's what many people are to each other, but I like to think that in this world we can form a better community than to compete against each other, and actually just help inspire one another to just be better than we were yesterday. So with everything that I've said, this kind of brings me on to the last point that I wanted to raise in this video, and this is the most important branding aspect in my opinion, not necessarily in business. So if there's anybody that's, you know, being a Fortune 500 branding executive for a top business, and you sat watching this video and you think I'm talking a load of rubbish, then please just understand that I'm trying to focus this video at the entry level, and of course there's a lot of things that I haven't covered in this video. And you know, there's books, things like The Primal Branding by Patrick Hanlon. I'll put a link to that book down in the description. That book is going to be super helpful for learning a little bit more about branding, and there's other books you can consume as well. But one of the biggest things that is overlooked in every space, now I'm not just talking about Etsy or YouTube or Twitch, just across the creative platform, is the consumer experience. And I have witnessed this as a coach. I've witnessed this more times than I care to admit. And we get so caught up in producing and creating things that are making us happy that we don't put enough attention to detail in worrying about making other people happy. And that's kind of why I'm sat here doing this today, because I don't want to sit here and make videos that are, you know, I spend all week making sure that they look pretty and have a lot of value in them, and then they go out into the world. What I want to do is I want to actually help people, and that comes from a place of authenticity and sincerity. I really want to help people and inspire people, and that's where my journey is beginning now, especially with these studio vlogs, because I want you guys to listen to what I've got to say whilst you sat there, doing your own art or editing your own video, and I want to hopefully inspire a train of thought or inspire you to go and make that thing that you were putting off before. And one of the biggest things is to consider how everybody else is gonna feel. So when you're packaging a product, people put in thank you cards and confetti and all, smart fancy things, but you've also got to consider, what are you wrapping your products in, what are you putting your products in, and you've got to be mindful of how everything is being perceived, because at the end of the day it's all about your brand recognition. And if somebody receives your product and they're expecting a minimal package, then if you go above and beyond to add a little bit more into that package than what your peers or your competitors are doing, then you're going to be adding a better experience for the consumer, so that the consumer is going to turn around and say, oh my god, I bought this shirt from this company and I absolutely love the shirt. The shirt is amazing, but they sent me the package and it had like the most cool design on the package that it came in. It was all like futuristic, and and that's what I would like to see, and that's what I would connect with. I love that sort of modern contemporary sort of grey and white, that minimal design. I absolutely love that, but that's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. For example, Katnipp, people like the fact that her artwork and her packaging reflects her personality and the type of content that she produces, and I would agree. All of her characters and her artwork are just an extension of her personality, and that again falls back on that authenticity. So if I can do anything in this video, I would like to reaffirm that being authentic and staying true to yourself is probably one of the biggest, most surefire branding techniques getting into content creation and artwork that you could probably think about. But if you're already a successful artist and you've already got a shop and you think that there's something about branding that you feel needs to be said that I've not included in this video, please put it in the comment section down below, because I'd love to get to hear it, and I would love to get to know you guys a little bit more. So feel free to introduce yourself and let me know what you've thought of the video. Let me know if you've found any of these tips and bits that I've spoken about useful in your own adventure. But otherwise, guys, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you've got any ideas about what you want me to talk about in the future, leave them down in the comment section below, and I will speak to you guys next time. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.